for Progreso. It was started by founder James Gutierrez and co-founder Rafael Cortez. In 2006, they started out with one kiosk in a grocery store. By January 2007, they had 5 kiosks, and into December 2007, they were up to 9 grocery store kiosks. They worked out a deal with Sears to have kiosks in the Sears stores, and so by March 2009, I think they had 15 Sears or Kmart kiosks. And the basic metrics for the Sears or Kmart kiosks was their goal was 60 loans a month, dispersing $60,000, but by first quarter of 2008, they were only doing 29 loans at $25,000. And in their grocery store models, their goal was 100 loans at $100,000 distributed, but they were only getting about 60 loans, about $52,000. By March of 2009, they had only gotten that up to 77 loans and about 74,000. They had pretty high customer acquisition costs, right around $400. The average loan was about $900 with a 9-month payback. The value of the customer was about $180. So they realized that they had a real problem if it cost them $400 to get a customer and they only got $180 from the customer. They got a ways to go to break even. The customers paid a $45 fee and a 26% interest. They had a special way to underwrite the loans, or at least qualify them, based on job, ability to pay, and not looking at FICO scores. They also offered customers to help them build credit by reporting the loan payment so they could get a good FICO score. Their losses on bad debt was less than 10% of amounts loaned. Their overhead per location was about $2,000 plus labor and commissions. Their personnel, they recruited personnel just kind of at random, looks like. But at some point, they brought in a guy named Dudley to kind of reorganize the sales force, and so he put in a training program, but it really didn't help. They've tried increasing the salespeople's goals. That didn't help. There was kind of low morale. People didn't feel like it hit their goals. Sears has just terminated their agreement, so they're going to lose 2/3 of their pipeline for leads and loans in about a month. One of the reasons why Sears terminated was because the company didn't have any real tracking models to see conversion rates from a lead to an application to a approval to a loan to paybacks. They put that in place, and now they've reshuffled the deck again with the management. They want to take the guys that got the collections and kind of the back end straightened out. They want to put them on sales to kind of straighten out the sales end. So that's Progreso in a nutshell. So they start off the discussion with, well, I guess here's the issue.
Can I add just 2 cents real quick, Norman?
Sure.
And maybe just for Dean's sake, I think this is the one he said he didn't read completely. mostly kind of targeting the Hispanic crowd, Spanish speaking, targeting people who couldn't otherwise obtain credit from a formal bank like Citibank or wherever. Once they got denied, this was kind of their last resort to secure kind of a payday loan or a short-term loan. Um, some of the first kiosks that were opened were in like a Spanish-speaking or Mexican grocery store, and that was kind of their target demographics was Hispanics, low
So
income Hispanics.
were they trying to obtain the credit to use in the stores, or they just set up shop in the stores?
Sears and Kmart kind of hoped that the loans would be spent on shopping in their stores. However, actual spending was mostly on like family stuff, other expenses, not really like shopping expenses. Uh,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
Sears wanted them to disperse the loan funds in like a Sears gift card, Sears or Kmart gift card, but most people didn't want to do that. A lot of the thing with the Sears was Sears didn't have Sears had sold their credit thing, but they still offered to Citibank, but they still offered a Citibank like Sears line of credit. And the Sears people were incentivized to offer that to people. Like if they wanted to buy a big flat screen or something, they'd say, okay, we'll just sign up for a Sears credit. If the people were declined, then they would typically refer them to the Progreso kiosk. But it mentions that a lot of times those people didn't even apply at the kiosk. They just left the store without getting credit. And the Sears credit relied on the credit score. So they weren't able to capture it, and Progresso didn't offer the Sears employees any type of incentive or compensation for referring them. So there wasn't Sears. I think Sears saw that, well, they're not really turning a business in, turning their loans into business for us, and they're not, doing the numbers that we thought they would do. So just didn't look like it was very profitable for Sears, or they didn't think it was really going to work out.
Okay.
So the issues that they're looking at right now that we're going to try to address is how to increase sales, how to get to their target numbers, because I'm sure those target numbers are kind of where their profitability is going to come in, that 100 loans dispersing 100,000. And Gutierrez, the founder, the other co-founder left in April 2008, so he's not around anymore. But his issue is, how do we increase sales? How can we get more per location? Do we need more locations? Is our compensation package incentivizing our account executives to get the applications and get loans processed and dispersed? They have a basic hourly salary of $8 an hour plus a compensation based on the number of loans. But to get that bonus compensation, they have to do at least, I think, 15 loans. And then after that, they get a certain amount of compensation for every loan that they did that month. There's maybe an issue about the sales training. It seems like they've turned that around to where they have more formalized sales training. One of the things I think he wants to achieve by putting these other two in charge of sales is to really be able to see why salespeople are getting sales or salespeople aren't getting sales, and use that to fine-tune the sales. I think he's in the right direction there. So those are the main the main ones. So the first question is, what are the possible causes of Progreso's poor sales performance? Anyone? Anyone?
Some of the causes could be, at first it talked about how it was just a kiosk set up in the corner of a grocery store. Uh, People, it wasn't until a couple years down the road that people started wearing uniforms and were really formally trained to do their job. Um, so I just kind of see it kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to picture the kiosk in my mind, and if I'm going to borrow money ever, would it be from somebody wearing a t-shirt and flip-flops, or would it be some more established looking uh, building, or I don't know, something a little bit more professional, I think, than just a kiosk. So I think appearance plays into their poor sales and performance. Um, I think this guy's smart enough. I don't know if it said where he was born, but he used to do marketing for another company for I think for the Mexico area or something like that. So he understands marketing, and I think that's kind of what led him into this business is his understanding of the market, and he sees an opportunity to serve these other people in this market. Um, but maybe there's more market research he could do to, is a grocery store the best location? Is, are there other locations that would be even better? Um, like when I think of grocery store, my wife does the shopping. I'll just say that part, and I don't know if she would be the one to secure a loan. So maybe somewhere that's more, um, represents both male and female, head of households to get a loan. Anyway, um, so I guess unprofessional look and location are my
Those
two.
were, I mean, just based on what I've learned about the case so far, that was kind of my impression as well. One of the things it says in the case is that Cortez, he's one of the partners, right? He didn't think that sales degradation was an urgent matter. So obviously he wasn't too interested in addressing it. The other thing it says is that he did not believe the AE team was actually capable of performing at a higher level. So I think maybe attitude of leadership may have had some impact on sales and what was going on there.
Yeah, and he left just a little bit after um, Dudley came in. See, he was in charge of sales. Um, he was in charge of sales, and he really wasn't performing well. So they brought in Dudley. Dudley did the uniforms and the sales training, and started looking for people that had some sales experience. The the only thing is that doesn't seem to have done the trick, because in February of 2009 they had the worst, like the worst sales ever. It actually went down. So I'm not sure if we can say the poor sales were caused by the salespeople, other than maybe the motivation. They weren't motivated.
Yeah, I mean, motivation obviously is key. Bringing in this guy to focus on sales, or upgrading. What did it say? It said uh, raising the level of professionalism in the retail sales organization. Um, Obviously, that didn't have the impact that they were hoping for. I guess one of the unknowns is whether or not, you know, it would have had that net effect regardless of whether they brought him on or not.
Okay, I need said something. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when Dudley came into the company, I read, yeah, this. He identified training, recruiting, and management discipline, and Cortez tried to refocus in marketing. But in 2009 is when the economy down, and maybe this is another problem these companies have. Another reason I see is only Spanish is not a good thing. When we made a business, we need to involve a couple of cultures. The reason is Spanish is a hard worker, but most of the people have a low income, and it's difficult for the people. And maybe now it's more easy than 2009 to get this kind of law, and a lot of people lost his home and jobs in this time, especially in the Hispanic community. That's all.
So maybe you think that they just need to revise their marketing and just try to weather the economic downturn. I would think, though, in an economic downturn, loans would be a good business to be in, because although if they want to loan money to people that can pay it back, you have to have a job. So people that don't have a job wouldn't be able to pay it back.
Yeah, I see where you're going there, Norman. I too would think there was an inverse. As jobs go down, the need to borrow money goes up. But maybe that would just, like you said, not qualify them for the loan at all.
Yes, the people don't qualify for the loan.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem.
Especially as another concern, most Spanish people don't have legal document,
Sure.
and this is another kind to get a loan. But in 2009, 2010, most of the people in this community lost his home and lost job, and this is a couple nightmares for most families.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is the part of the reason in 2009 this company down. I see when the economy now it's more easy. Most I see in my area, most of the people use this loan or use too much this company that change the checks and have a loan, but people need jobs for pay. If the job is better, it's okay. These companies work better, but it's not.
Okay, so which of the elements of their business model are validated?
I like the idea of serving the underserved, finding the Hispanics in this case that can't otherwise qualify for loan. I like that aspect of it. I don't know if any other parts of the business model are validated. It seems like they have I don't know if it's a management problem, but what they really have is a volume problem. If they're only getting 29 loans a month, that's one a day. And I don't know, they need to step that part up, and I think other issues would kind of resolve themselves if they at least could secure more loans every day.
Well, I think and I agree with that. I think a volume problem is definitely in play here. It seems like they've had a lot of turnover on the sales leadership team as well, right? They had Cortez, and then they had Dudley, and then they had Cavanis, and then at the end there it says that he turned it over to Kirst and Sam Uloa, who'd been managing the underwriting and collections teams. So I mean, he perceives it as a leadership problem, and they've had a lot of turnover in those positions, but I don't know if that has made any difference for him at all. At one point, the people were complaining that the DSMs and the EAs were complaining that the goals were just too high, so I don't know.
I really wish they had this stuff in spreadsheet format so I could play with these numbers, because one of the things that they have on this Exhibit 1, Selected Progreso Financials 2007-2008, is total number of sales hours versus the total loan dollars dispersed. So I can't, unless I was able to, just manually enter this into a spreadsheet, figure out what the average hours per $1,000 or per average loan size, because it looks like their average loan size is pretty consistent. So from January 2008 through the end of December, it was like 874, 890, 987, 887, 906, 986, 966, 955. So I would say that's something that they can really count on as far as consistency, that loan size. Their number of active accounts is going up, but their total loan dispersed went up, but then it went down. So I don't know, I'd have to play with the numbers to see if I could figure out what's validated. I think like you mentioned, that the loan amounts and customers are willing to do the loans, and the other thing I think that's validated is probably their underwriting, their approval, because they have less than 10% default rates. So I think if you took those and were able to get the sales up, maybe through a better compensation package. Have you guys ever gone like through Costco or something where they have those kiosks for like the solar people or the heating and air conditioning people?
Yep.
And sometimes they're just standing there, and sometimes they're really trying to engage people.
Yep.
I know from a sales background, we've done like home shows where you get a booth at a home show, and you can have salespeople stand inside the booth and wait for people to come in and ask questions, and you can demonstrate the security systems, or you can have salespeople that are like out in the aisle, talking to people, handing out literature, giving out, little water bottles and stuff like that. So I really think they can make it work, but I think the key is in the sales. They need to find that just right blend of getting customers to apply for their loans. All right. Next question. How much profit does Progreso earn on a new loan with the current number of loans per month at a grocery store location? How many new loans do they need per location to break even? So $180 per loan. And they're doing 77 a month.
I kind of have that built already, Norman. I can share my
okay.
screen if you want.
Sure.
I don't know how accurate it is, but maybe you guys can help me out there.
All right.
Let me get this up. So here's kind of the numbers that I came up with. So this top one, let's see if I can make that a little bigger for you guys. So the loan amount average is 900, the value plus interest. So each loan, gives Progreso about $180. Loan renewal, based on the formula in the preparation page, it had 180 times 65% times 80%. So that's what I use there. Cost of interest, so what Progreso was charged to borrow the money to lend it to somebody else was $55. The loan loss was, like Norman said, less than 10% of the $900 times the 65% times the 80%, which was a formula given in the prepare sheet. So I came up with total per 900 loaned of about $172. I think, Norman, you're saying maybe 180 or so. So either way, pretty close maybe. So if they had 100 loans, this is simply 100 times total per loan. Our rent or fixed costs included $2,000 rent. Fixed cost was $3,100. Commission, and this was based on $35 for every $35 commission for every loan, and 55 loans total. So that's a total net amount, I guess, of $10,000. And then the cost per acquisition, I think. And I don't know if this part's right, but I took the total and just divided it by 100 or 100 loans. So each loan cost them maybe not cost is the word, but it's 101.37. So using kind of that formula, here is the 77 loan amount goal. Here's the 101 or 111 amount and the 150 loan amount. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking. I would think that as the goal goes higher, the cost per acquisition would go down, and that's not the case in my calculations here. So maybe I'm doing something wrong here.
Something I wasn't sure about, it seemed like that $180 profit or 172 was over 9 months.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's a 9-month average 9-month payback. So I wasn't quite able to figure that in, or if they were not annualizing it, monthlyzing it.
Yeah, because 900 times 26% is $234. But that wouldn't be, what do they call that?
Well, it's only 26% on the remaining balance. So that's
okay.
why
it would go down. Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess what they're saying, I was just trying to wrap my head around it. When you're counting new loans, I guess it's kind of a rolling 9-month metric.
Okay.
So, but I'm still trying to figure out if that $180 is over 9 months, or if it's just every time you get a new customer, you can count on $180 in profit. Or, so I think that is right. So if you're counting new customers per month, then you are going to get $180 per month from that new customer. Although I think if you were to do a cash flow model, you'd have to take that into account, that you're going to recognize that $180 profit over 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So $20 a month.
Sure.
Okay, well that's a good spreadsheet to play with that. So what did you come up with as a break-even number?
Well, like, we could figure it out real quick. So this middle one right here is based off 100. 100 loans. I'm wondering, like, their break-even wouldn't be very high in this formula, because our costs are only going to be, $5,000 really. So what if we played with $5,000? Let's do. So we have rent as a fixed cost, and variable cost is commission, something like that. Is going to equal man. We need to find a revenue point, right?
Yeah.
Equals, let's pull 180 times 50, 9,000, and we're going to subtract 2,000.
What about your sales salaries? Is that the 3,000? 31?
Over here it is. Yeah, we could pull that as a fixed cost.
Yeah, just throw that in the fixed cost bucket.
Our profit, I guess, is what we're going to call it, right? It's going to equal revenue minus our costs. So if we change from, so at 50 loans, they're still positive. So if we dropped it to 40, and at 682, maybe 35, 36. So between 35 and 36 is a break even, maybe?
Yeah, but you got to throw in the acquisition costs.
Okay.
Well,
which was 400. What was it in this case?
yeah,
And that's per customer or per loan?
yeah, per loan.
No, that's gonna kill them.
Yeah, that's what is killing him right now.
Somehow that's got to be 400 times, right? 400 times the, yeah. I don't think they'll ever. Because that exceeds their revenue at that point.
Put the yeah, well they're losing money. Put the acquisition cost in there as like a variable just to the right, the next column over, just put in like 400 so that we can change that acquisition cost.
Okay.
Now in your, yeah, right there, make that 400 times total number of loans. No, use the, yeah,
Okay.
there you go. That way we can change acquisition costs and total loans.
Okay, so like if acquisition dropped to 200 or so.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's keep it at 200 just for fun. Now, actually, let's put in the total number of sales as where they are currently, 77.
Okay.
And put the acquisition costs at 400.
Okay.
So that means they're losing 24,000. All right. So at that volume, what do they need to get their acquisition costs down to break even? Let's try 200. Okay, so less than that. So let's say 180.
Still killing them. Oops. Around $78.
Okay, so all right. Go back. Okay, so put the acquisition cost at maybe something realistic like $200.
Okay.
And let's see how many sales they have to get.
It's just it's a linear equation at this point. The higher I go, the more.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Is the revenue going up when you increase the?
180 times 200.
Okay. Well,
So
no, that makes sense because
yeah. So this is
acquisition
increasing.
is higher than the.
Yeah. Than the profit, no matter what.
Yeah.
So it needs to be under 180.
Right.
And that would probably, after our expenses.
There's still, it has to be less than 180 after expense. Try 150.
Okay. And still, something's weird here.
Go.
Maybe the commissions are too high at $35 or something as well.
I'm wondering if the acquisition cost, where that comes from, or whether those costs that we figured in are the acquisition cost. I don't know, because down on your 77, 111, 150 there.
Yeah, I didn't have any acquisition costs in this table at all.
I thought the CPA was.
And all that formula was total divided by cost per. Yeah, that wasn't a cost necessarily. It was a. It would be more like a revenue per. For some reason.
Hmm. All right. Looks like we'll need to kind of
Yeah.
play with this on our own. I think we're kind of going in the right direction, though.
Okay.
So the definition in the prep assignment says that CPA, or cost per acquisition, is equal to the total cost to acquire a new loan. So some of those other costs have to come into play there, right?
Yeah, I think so. So here's what it says. You can change the variable amount, the number of loans needed to receive a payout, and or the fixed compensation. Do not waste time trying to figure out a way to break even with lower number of loans. The board will not go for that. All right. Once you have made your changes to the compensation plan, develop a broader action plan to include specific activities. Will you manage activities or results? I think they've shown that trying to manage results isn't working. So they need to fine-tune their activities.
Well, yeah. If you think about anybody that's been in sales, right? They talk about managing activities more than, because you can control your activities, which will eventually lead to sales, but you can't control the outputs or the sales themselves, right? The only way to control that is through managing your activities.
Right. So when I was door knocking sales, I knew that, I couldn't just set a goal, oh, I got to get 5 sales tonight. I knew I had to knock on 400 doors that night. So then it's just a matter of knocking on 400 doors. Because if you're just trying to get sales, you may sit there and waste 15 minutes arguing with somebody about whether they need the product or not. And so that's, 5 other doors you could have knocked on while you were doing that. Same principle if you're talking to people in the grocery store, train the people to immediately somewhat pre-qualify them based on a need or an interest, and then set goals for them to talk to 50 people a shift or 20 people an hour, something like that, because it's a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more applications you'll get. The more applications you get, the more people you'll get approved, and on down the road. So would you guys keep the current account executives? Anyone? Do you think they're worth keeping, or?
AEs, account executives, is that at the kiosk level?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, the DMSs or whatever are the district
over
managers.
Okay. I don't know. From a business standpoint, if I was on top, I would have a different answer versus if I was the guy in the kiosk. So I think motivation could come maybe better by lowering the quota, giving more incentives just to reach a benchmark for the commission to kick in. I think it's 15 now, and maybe drop it down to 10 for a while, and dropping that standard a little bit might get more people on board, and the net result would be more more motivated people collectively would bring in more loans. So I don't know. That would be my. I know it's going to cost more from a management's perspective, but I think morale could improve and incentive for the AEs to improve would go up.
One of the things it says we're supposed to do is determine a new compensation plan. What do you think is the key to a new compensation plan?
I like base plus commission. It's worked. My wife's one of the jobs that she has as a massage therapist was a base pay plus commission, and at certain points she could earn over $60 an hour, which was awesome. But so I don't know if I would change that. That's my answer.
Something I was thinking about was changing the commission to have it be applications completed. Because right now they're only paying, not even if it's approved, but only if the customer picks up the check. So I think, going back to the idea that you really need to boost the initial numbers, the number of applications. So maybe lower the commission, but pay it on completed applications. Because it's really out of their control whether the people get approved or not.
Right.
I was thinking it would be maybe a good idea to lower the base, right, to maybe minimum wage, and then make the commission, maybe even keep it the same, and then make it, I agree with you, Norman, make it based on completed applications, or have 2 tiers of commission, right? So you have a lower base. I don't know what minimum wage is these days, but I think at the time of this thing it was 5 1/4 or something. Drop that, drop your base from $8 per hour down to 5 1/4, add in another level of commission, and have it be maybe even the higher commission of apps completed, right? Because what you don't want to do is if you put too much incentive on apps completed, you're going to get somebody that knows, hey, this guy's not going to qualify, but I'm going to have him complete a loan app anyway, because I get comped on it whether he gets approved or not, right? And the ultimate goal is not only to get apps in the door, but also to get as many of those apps approved as possible, right? So you don't want to impair his judgment in who should be applying for the loans by making too much of an incentive on the number of applications taken. But I definitely think there should be some compensation to him based on the number of applications taken, and then another level of comp or commission to him based on the number of loans that actually close.
That psychology could go the other way, though, because if you're incentivizing approved loans, what if they're not talking to people because they look at them and maybe their clothes are shabby or something, and they say, oh, that person wouldn't get approved, I'm not even going to waste my time. And so he doesn't do an application. So they're prejudging people that way. That's the other thing I'm a little concerned about. So maybe.
But if the larger percentage of his compensation is based on getting the apps taken, right?
Mm-hmm.
But still, so let's say that we do, if we keep the total commission at $30 to $35 per loan, let's say, right? 20 of that comes from completing the application, and 15 of that comes from the actual loan closing, right? Then he's incentivized to talk to everybody he can, and only encourage those who he thinks will actually qualify after he's talked to them to to complete the application and move forward.
And my only suggestion to that, Dean, would be reverse. The higher amount goes towards the approved application, and the lesser amount be on the application submitted. You know, maybe $5 to submit an application, whereas it's $20 or even $30 commission if it's approved.
One motivator, like when I was door knocking, was, I could average out and I could say that, with my commissions and everything, if I did 4 sales in a night and knocked on 400 doors, then that was, and I made $200 a sale. That means that every door I knocked on, I got $2. So I would kind of motivate myself saying, man, every door I knock on, whether they say yes or no, it's like they open the door and hand me $2. So yeah, you can kind of, break that down and, have the lower price, lower pay for the app, and then, more when it's funded, something like that. But the other thing that I thought about too, that I didn't see anywhere in here when it came to the sales and the compensation, was competition. Did you guys see anything about, competing? Actually, I did. I remember
like internal competition or external competition?
Internal. I remember the first 2 guys, the 2 founders, when they tried it out, they competed against each other. So I think if you had a competition between the 2 account executives at each kiosk, and they had prizes for whoever had the most loans funded that month, I think that would be huge.
I think that would be huge too. I think that would be great.
Yeah, prizes and recognition. I was one of these weird salespeople that hated sales meeting, hated the rah, get everybody pumped up and everything. Hated the little prizes and everything. And as a business owner, I was kind of like, if you just go out there and work, you can make an incredible income as a commission salesperson. That should be reward enough. But at this level, I really see where something like that could be valuable. All right. So the only other discussion point it talks about is if you change the commission and compensation plan, are your current people going to stay? If they don't stay, where are you going to find new people? So I think you guys can address that in your individual write-up. But anybody have anything else they want to add?
No.
I'm good.
All right. Well, let me stop this one.